So it's the 5th of March. This is the opening of Israeli Apartheid Week 2012 in Montreal. We've just seen the film Tears of Gaza, screened by Cinema Politica here at Concordia University. And I'm joined by Ihab Lotayef, who's an activist with the Canada Boat for Gaza. Can you maybe first just give us a brief outline as to what is the Canada Boat for Gaza project?
The Canada Boat to Gaza is a project to involve Canadian people directly firsthand in challenging and breaking the Israeli blockade on Gaza. It has started at the beginning of just following the Freedom Flotilla, where Israel attacked and killed the activists on the Mavi Marmara, because it was very important to have Canadian civil society involved in the flotilla work. Since our Canadian government is one of the strongest supporters of Israel, it was a duty upon us to be involved directly, not just as sending people on other boats. And that's basically how it started, and continued from there as a full participant in the second Freedom Flotilla, and then in Freedom Waves to Gaza this past fall.
You mentioned the Canadian government, and this is Israeli Apartheid Week in Montreal. Can you maybe talk briefly about the importance, from your perspective, on addressing Canada's support for the Israeli blockade of Gaza, and how it relates to your work within the Canada Boat to Gaza project?
Well, I think this is where all our work as people working in Canada for justice for the Palestinians comes together, because our Canadian government at this point is showing unconditional support to Israel, standing beside and behind and in front of Israel, right or wrong. And we should put pressure on our government. We should raise public awareness for people to speak out against the government. We should not just let our support for the Palestinians be limited to small enclaves. We should go out wide to make this government feel that it's taking the wrong position, and that Benjamin Netanyahu should not be a welcome guest in Canada, the other way around. He should be an unwelcome guest in Canada as long as these atrocities are being done in the name of Israel. And the atrocities are many. So we have a responsibility, because this is the government that represents us, whether we like it or not. And we have a responsibility to pressure it, and to, at minimum, show that we, in large majorities as Canadian people, don't agree with it.
Regarding the siege on Gaza, maybe could you outline 4 or 5 key elements that are instrumental to sustaining the Israeli military siege on Gaza today?
Oh, that's a difficult question. There are many. The international silence towards the siege on Gaza, the blockade of Gaza, is one major factor that makes this possible and makes this go so long. The silence of Egypt, which has started to end by the Egyptian revolution a year ago now, was another factor that helped it continue and take this shape. The confusion of people all around the world between Israeli atrocities and between anti-Semitic is another thing that benefits all the atrocities that Israel commits, among them the siege of Gaza.
So a chilling effect around critiques on Israel being deemed anti-Semitic.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something the whole Western world should really manage to get out of, because it is a major reason for Israel continuing to do what it does.
Well, on the Freedom Flotilla, there was a huge presence of Jewish activists who were in opposition to the Israeli siege on Gaza.
Absolutely, and in all pro-Palestinian movements, and in all pro-Palestinian work, and all justice for Palestine and justice for the Palestinians movements, there is large Jewish presence. We know that this is a myth. We know that supporting Palestinian rights and condemning Israeli atrocities is in no way anti-Semitic, but still widespread belief or widespread propaganda makes people afraid that it might be, and thus they stay silent.
So tonight we saw Tears of Gaza, a film being screened by Cinema Politica here at Concordia University. Do you have any reflections on the film that we just watched? watched. It was a very intense film. A lot of it shot during the Israeli bombing of the Gaza Strip at the turn of 2009. Your reflections?
The film was heavy, and it was a bit too graphic for many people, but I think it was very needed for people to see the reality. Even somebody like myself who did visit Gaza a few weeks after Cast led, this was an eye-opener for me, because you need to see how it happened and what exactly happened, and this film gives you the full reality of it. As you said, a lot of the footage used there was shot on cell phones and handheld cameras by people inside Gaza during the attacks, and that's why it gives you an absolute reality in morgues, in hospitals, etc. It's very, it is painful, but it's needed. It's much needed.
So that was the opening film, Tears of Gaza, for Israeli Apartheid Week, and we're speaking with Ihab Lotayef, who's an activist with the Canada Boat for Gaza. Any final thoughts on the importance of Israeli Apartheid Week? And here in Montreal, we've seen that project include a huge component of cinema and film through Cinema Politica. But I was wondering if you have any final thoughts on Israeli Apartheid Week.
First Cinema Politica and then Israeli Apartheid Week. I think that Cinema Politica provides, not only in the Palestinian movement, but generally in many unspoken about issues, provides a window for people who want to see at least the reality or see a different point of view, provides that window for them to see stuff that they really find very difficult to find elsewhere. Israeli Apartheid Week is playing a role in bringing the reality as is about Palestine, about Israel, about the need for boycott, disinvestment and sanctions against Israel to the people, and it's a venue to learn, not necessarily directly to believe, but to learn and question what is happening. And I think it's growing, as you mentioned in your introduction, not only in Montreal, but it's growing all over the world. And again, the fear mongering that is going around saying that this is anti-Semitic and this is offensive. I mean, one of the funny words we always hear is that it's offensive to some people. Well, what's really offensive is the atrocities that are undertaken by the state of Israel, not exposing them. That's what's offensive.
Ihab Lotayef, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for your speech tonight at the opening of Israeli Apartheid Week 2012.